So these 3 things are the massive things that I added as part of my recovery tools.
Cupping is bullshit. Don't ever do cupping. There's a very high probability it does absolutely nothing physiological that affects your recovery. It is a fad. All love and respect for Tom Stoltman. I do all kinds of stuff in my daily life that's a fad that doesn't work. So nothing personal, but this is just all just crock shit nonsense. Folks, it's me, Dr. Mike. Welcome. This is RP Strength, and it's our Friday Exercise Scientist Reviews, Critiques. Scott, which one is it? Critiques show, which sounds mean, but really we're quite nice, I promise. For the most part, unless you're a charlatan. More of that to come in future episodes, no doubt. Folks, today's focus of our in-depth, super detailed professor of exercise science attention is none other than Mr. Tom Stoltman, a man who comes from Scotland, has won the World's Strongest Man 3 times. That's a lot. That is really impressive. And he's about 6'6" and about 400 pounds. And he has a curious nickname of, I believe, the Albatross. If you ever see Tom Stoltman in real life, there's no sense in preparing for it because it's one of the most gigantic human beings you'll ever see. When you see an albatross, it's just a giant seagull that has demon eyes and no feelings and is full of only hate. Yes, he has a very wide wingspan like the albatross, but I think everything else breaks down. So take out your pistol, shoot the first albatross you see, start grilling that muff around the oven. 3, 2, 1, Tom Stoltman.
So let's talk about how I prepped for the World Strongest Man 2024. Obviously, I was very, very hungry, having lost the title in 2023 to Mitchell Hooper.
Hey, Mitchell Hooper. I don't like him. He looks too Canadian. How do you trust a man who's got a maple leaf for a country? The Canadians are nice, aren't they? Who do we know that's Canadian, Scott? Jeff Nippard.
Nice.
Jeremy Ethier.
Nice. The guys who did the studio tour, Gerald and Patrick.
Gerald and Patrick were great.
Nice.
Canadians are just great.
I added a lot more recovery, including the oxygen chamber, the osteopaths, and I was talking to a sports psychologist as well.
Whoa, sports psychologist, that's really cool. So oxygen chamber stuff might have some small effects. Literature is unclear. Icing and stuff can promote temporary recovery so you can train more intensely, but eventually have to stop doing it because it kind of delays the adaptive process or mutes it a little bit. The all that pins in the back stuff is probably almost all placebo effect. There might be something there on some rare occasions, but it's probably nothing to it scientifically. However, the placebo effect is if it makes you feel nice and it makes you feel more competent at your craft, it's not necessarily a bad thing unless it costs thousands and thousands of dollars. But the sports psychology thing is new as far as I'm hearing it from most of these athletes. And I think it's really awesome because there are kind of 2 types of sports psychologists. People who didn't know what else to get into. They like sports. They sort of like psychology. They have absolutely no bearing on athletics whatsoever. They've never been in competitive environments. And they're just kind of like people who give generally nice advice, but to athletes and sort of they're not really worthwhile. Unfortunately, that's some of the profession. But then there are sports psychologists who are really, really good at their craft. And sports psychology is dope because if you're an athlete who's trying to compete at the highest levels, there's a crazy mental game. And the mental game is at least has 2 parts to it. One part is how do you keep your cool in training so as not to just get chronic high cortisol release? And so you can promote an awesome environment for you to train and recover in leading up to important competitions. Like when you're Tom Stoltman and you're training for the World's Strongest Man competition, I mean, that amount of pressure must just be baffling. I'm training out here for a local bodybuilding show and I'm eating my nails and losing sleep and sending Scott the video guy pictures of my genitals out of sheer anxiety. And he hates it, but I think it's fine. This guy's training to be the World's Strongest Man. The amount of pressure could potentially be insane. So a sports psychologist who's good at the job can be really awesome at letting you have all sorts of ways that you can really cool the pressure down and just do your job and train and enjoy yourself so that you have very low fatigue coming in and you're ultimately prepared. The other way sports psychologists can help, and there's a ton of different ways as well, but the other big way that comes to mind to me right now is that The process of actively managing your arousal at the competition so that not only do you have a similar problem not happen where you don't just like are super on edge for 2 hours and then it's your final time to do your event and you've been on edge for so long, you're actually drained of energy. Great ways to keep that under wraps. But also, if you keep it under wraps too much and there's no cork to take off of it to really blow the energy out and really do your event well, then you can't get aroused. Not in that way, folks. I mean, maybe in that way. Because you really need your blood to your muscles high in strongman. In any case, aroused in the way of like getting up for really doing something impressive in sport, if you can't do that because you're so chill, you won't have your best performance. And so there's a management issue there that's quite complex that a sports psychologist can really help you with. And that's establishing that cool, calm, collected mindset until you need to really perform, uncorking in the most predictable way to get you excellent result, and then corking back down, chilling until your next attempt or the next event, or until it's time to drink champagne and pour all over strippers and whatever people do after they win World's Strongest Man.
At World's Strongest Man, it's a 4 or 5 day event. You need to be able to have that longevity.
It's a big deal, man. World's Strongest Man is brutal. It is a 4 or 5 day event. You got, sometimes you have multiple events per day, oftentimes. And if you can survive that and catch the smallest amount realistically of fatigue all the way through, you have a chance of doing really well. If you get broken down, super sore, hurt, really highly fatigued, you're unable to sleep well, you're unable to rehydrate and eat well, especially from psychological pressure, you're going to have a hard time.
I think with the sports psychologist as well, really helped me get a mindset that I was then starting to play a few mind games with people as well, which a lot of athletes do it. You know, they come up and talk to you for when you're trying to do stuff, and you know, they just try and talk to your wives and talk to your support group around you just to try and get in your head. But
never, ever talk to me wife. I'll cut you. You're fogging. I didn't get anything out that time. You know what, man? Mind games in competitive collaborative sport are just lame as hell. And I guess if everyone's in, like, let's do mind games, cool. But why don't we just vibe with each other and then go out there and show the world how strong we are? I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't watch YouTube videos to see mind games, damn it. I watch YouTube videos to see you guys lift rocks. Now pick up that rock, brother. Woo! What? I got American for a second. That was strange. Scott, you ever feel just really American? You have to like...
Every day.
Every day, baby.
25/8.
20...
Extra days and hours.
My man. And if, as a European guy, I'd be like, oh, that's actually impossible because in the countries of Europe, we only have 24 hours and 7 days a week. Also technically 5 because we don't work 2 days of the week. And I don't mean the weekend, I mean the regular week. And you're like, hey, European guy, that's because you don't have American days, brother. Woo! Max, hit it. Folks, there is still more video to come. But there's a members area where you can get not only extended versions of all of these Friday shows, but you can also get tons of brainy content, tons of training vlogs, and we make updates every single week. Members area, get into it. It's a little bit of money. It gives you huge value, I think. Back to the video.
it was a massive help in me becoming the world's strongest man. Today we are squatting big, massive squats. That's one of the improvements.
He didn't say, did he say sets?
Big, massive squats.
Okay, I misheard something.
And also I'm going to try flatter shoes again. I used to squat in flat shoes and I used to feel much more comfortable. I don't know why I changed to powerlifting shoes, but we're going to start again with flat shoes.
It really is a personal thing. A lot of people love a heeled weightlifting shoe to squat in, but it does make you use more of your quads as a limiting factor. It keeps you more upright. If you're stronger like that, totally dope. If you feel better in very stable flats, then very stable flats are better for you. So I would say try both and figure out which one is best for you. For hypertrophy of the quads, heeled shoes are undefeated. That's just a correct answer. For powerlifting, for strongman sport, it really does depend on the individual.
See if that makes any improvements or not as well, and just take my time warming up and just enjoy squatting, you know, enjoy it. Don't say I hate them, enjoy it.
That's good, man. You got to have some buy-in. You guys feel like he's trying to convince himself of that, isn't he? Yeah. Hey, dude, when you're 6'6", squatting is like a lot of work physically, in the literal physics definition of force times distance. And when you're squatting, 500 pounds plus for reps, being that tall, it's a lot of squatting to do. Cool thing is you'll have huge, insanely strong legs if you can do full range of motion squats at that height. The sort of not great news is like, yeah, you're in for some work. Ooh, is deep too. Good God. Why use a belt if you can just beltless squat over 500 pounds? Whatever. Wow. Nowhere near failure. Insanely smooth movement the whole way through. Super impressive.
Wasn't the prettiest, but it felt nice with no bell. Yeah, and I still have decent energy, which is good, so. We're in box jumps, bench jumps. I'm done already.
Huh. I wonder what the purpose of those are. Typically, when you do jumps, you want them to be relatively maximum or maximal in nature, which means you're trying to jump roughly as high as you can. Sure, it doesn't look like he's doing that here. Maybe some kind of recovery technique. I'm not quite sure about this. Just curious. With my luck, I would jump on a bench and the thing would slip and I would die. But at least he's not doing that.
We're on to stiff leg deadlifts. 3 sets of 5.
3 sets of 5?
Ouchies.
That would cook almost everyone. I wonder if he means top sets and work sets, or if he means including warm-ups. What a trip. All right, 120 kilos, I assume is just warming up. Scott, look at how ridiculously small that completely standard Olympic barbell looks in his hands. Mm-hmm. Legit, if I saw this, I didn't know how big it was. I was like, whoa, he's got like a little mini barbell. Like, nope, that's a real barbell. Like, but how? Also, he's the size of a power rack. Holy crap. Whoa, that's really good technique. Folks, if you're doing stiff-legged deadlifts at home, I have 2 things to tell you. One is if you try VersaGrips with them, you're going to be able to hang on to the bar in such a profoundly effective way that you can now focus on your positioning for your chest, for your tummy, for your glutes, for your knees, such that you maximally stretch out the hamstrings and get the most benefit without having to worry about your grip. They're super easy to put on, super easy to take off. They're pretty much better than straps in almost every measure. VersaGrips are amazing. We have a discount code for them, and that's all going to be displayed somewhere. And there's probably a link in the description where you can go get RP branded VersaGrips, which are just great and fire. The second thing I have to tell you is, why are you doing them at home? Your neighbors below can probably hear you and are really, really pissed. So go to the gym. Also, if you go to the gym, there are people there. Some of them might consider having the sex with you if you say the right things. Now go. Try it out.
First exercise is strip press. 2 sets of 3. Then we have some close grip stuff, incline and all that kind of stuff.
Cool, a push day. 130 kilos, which is 286 pounds. Maybe. Whatever, just playing around with that weight. Why not? Good God. Ooh, 170 push press. This is real insane. This is like 375-ish or something. Yeah, wow.
There you go.
That was clean. Whoa, Scott, can you believe you got that?
Brutal, yeah.
There's a lot of adjustment with body position that if you get the bar a little bit more behind you, it actually becomes significantly easier because the lever arm shortens a ton. He really succeeded. This is a huge test of athleticism too. Dude, Scott, like 170K, like that many 45s and shit on the bar, that's like someone benching that in the gym is like really impressive in a regular gym. Someone just pushing it overhead is like,
dude, if I see someone squatting or deadlifting that in a regular gym,
yes, yes. Yeah, this is wild. Question, should you push press for delt gains? Delt gains in the front delt, especially, a little bit the side, plenty of trap actually, is really good for the strict overhead press. There's a lot of axial fatigue. Your whole body is compressed, and so it's quite fatiguing. A lot of the other muscles contract. So it's probably better to do this press seated if you're just trying to get jacked. You can do them standing. It's real good manhood Viking energy. The push press allows you to accelerate with your legs and then lock out. By themselves, I wouldn't do them for hypertrophy because you're basically like using more of the rest of your body and just as much delts as before. So you get really no added benefit to the delts, but you get a lot more fatigue from using the whole body. However, something you can try is after your set of strict presses, pretty close to failure or to failure, you can use a few push presses to finish the job and really kind of post-exhaust the front delts and the triceps. So that's something to consider if you can manage the fatigue well. If this is an exercise that beats you up and you're like, dude, I'm getting way too beat up, remember, this is a predictable thing, so now you're not surprised.
This is very good for transitioning into overhead and stuff as well. Builds really good strength, but about 3 sets of 12, so this will be my last warm-up, 100k.
3 sets of 12, 264 pounds, really cool. Yeah, this is like a closer grip, believe it or not, for him, because you can see his forearms are significantly inside his elbows. This is a closer grip variation. Really good for building more of the musculature, upper chest, front delts, and triceps that helps with the overhead press, but isn't nearly as fatiguing. So you can just get more work in. There's 3x12 in the overhead press would cook the rest of your body, lower back, even the abdominal wall a ton. This is way less fatigue, great stimulus, awesome accessory movement for strength athletics, and a great move for hypertrophy as well.
1, 2, 1 more. 1, 2, come on, again. Come on. 1 more.
I love the 80s synth vibes, huh? It's almost like you just won the wrestling competition at States and you're driving down, South Beach, Miami to pick up your soon-to-be girlfriend to ride into a permanent sunset with sunglasses on. What am I missing from the 80s, Scott? The RP Hypertrophy app comes with dozens of pre-made programs from 2 days of training per week all the way up to 6 days of training, with specialized programs included for shoulders, arms, chest, back, legs, abs, and glutes, each one with male and female options. You get them all and can use them as often as you like, even building off of them to make your own customized versions for only about $1 a day. Click on the link in the description of this video to get started.
Luke had to save me, that was hellish. I'm pumped. Last week I did heavier close grip. I'm going to alternate each week because doing close grip bench press every single week absolutely rams you, you know what I mean?
Scott, you ever been rammed before?
I have not.
By a real Scottish lad? Again, I know that accent is pseudo-Irish, but really, Flex Lewis, if you're listening to this, it's fucking Welsh, isn't it? Isn't it, brother? Flex, please don't kill me. Here's the deal, folks. This is actually a very good strategy. A lot of times, any kind of variation is better than a totally identical training style week to week to week to week. So sometimes it's really good to have some higher reps in 1 week, and even the same exercise, lower reps in another. The kinds of stresses are a little bit different. You get more metabolic stress, more muscle soreness from the higher reps, but you get more joint and connective tissue disruption, tendons, ligaments, and the fascia of your muscles from the lower reps and heavier weight. And so if you keep pounding lower reps, heavy weight, you're more likely to get hurt after a few weeks. Not by a ton, but by enough. If you do high reps all the time, you never quite get as strong as you're supposed to be. And if you do low reps all the time, you can't really add a whole lot of muscle size. So if you alternate high and low reps week on week or within a week, Monday, Thursday, for example, if you're training for some combination of size and strength, this can be a tenable strategy, especially in the off season.
What better way than to get some recovery in the most beautiful setting you can imagine? This is a tropical paradise.
The Scottish tropical paradise of frozen ice wasteland. So that is Luke Stoltman, yes?
That's his brother.
Me brother. And he's also a pro strongman, also an incredible athlete, and also enormous. That's one hell of a stock. Dude, mom did some work in those deliveries, huh?
My God.
Those are real Scottish male childs, aren't they? We're not any fannies around here, any fluffies, any fairies. I guarantee you one of those was a Scottish phrase that people say.
But with snow. Sometimes I like to talk a lot when I don't want to do something.
Scott, you in?
Absolutely not.
This could be us, but you play way too much.
This is my like least favorite thing of all time.
Come on, Daddy, you playing. They're big boys, ain't they? Damn, this sucks. Yeah, I'm Russian. This is like a Russia thing also. Will it provide you with recovery? Yes. Will it enhance the speed of your adaptations? No. Is it cool for manhood vibes and Viking energy? Absolutely. It's probably the number one thing it's good for.
I think I'd rather like lower myself into like an Indiana Jones style pit of snakes than lower myself into that water. To be completely honest.
Like, well, you know, the poison has a hermetic effect and it actually makes you stronger. All right. Well, just don't get a bit too much and then you die. Okay. Yeah, if you put the snakes in there, that's it, man. Cold-blooded, bro. That snake's done. It's not coming out refreshed. It's coming out ready to eat.
The best way to dry off. If you don't have a towel, this is what they do in the SAS.
He's just walking around. Oh my God.
We roll in the snow. That's how we dry off, don't we?
Scott. Scott, we got this outside right
This is
now,
triggering
bro.
to me.
We got a pond right outside, baby. I get that hole going. You and me, let's get in a hole together. Let's put you in a hole.
Absolutely not.
Do you think he'd just like, oh shit, I have snow on me. Let me dip back into the water to get it off?
I'd only do it with you if it was like a guaranteed like 5 million views.
5 million view video. I make Scott the video guy take a polar plunge. Hey, I might do numbers. It gets 500K views and you start to just wind down into a depressive episode.
Do not comment. Do not thumbs up this idea. Do not request it. Do not bring it up in the comments.
Do it. Do it. Promise us 5 million views and Scott will eat his shoe. All right. That was very Scottish, wasn't it? I thought I was going to do some more voices. I was going to do some Arnold and I was going to do some Forrest Gump. I'm trying to weave Forrest Gump in, but it just didn't happen. Maybe next time. For the time being, Tom Stoltman is a legend and enormous and is a literal albatross, the giant, freaky, demonic bird. Out of 10, consider that an official ranking. And unless it's Tom Stoltman, who we have mega respect for and we love, if you ever actually see a real albatross in the wild, don't let it go. Kill it so that we don't have any more of these damn terrible demon birds eating the poor fish out of our oceans. No more albatrosses. Albatrossy. Scott, seagulls, the same thing? We hate them too?
Yeah, they're evil.
What is exactly the purpose of a seagull other than to eat your picnic at the beach? I submit it has no evolutionary purpose whatsoever. They're terrible too. Tom Stoltman's the man. I've said enough, possibly too much. I've been Dr. Mike. I'll see you next time. All right, that was really cool. They're giant boys, ain't they? What kind of accent is that? Who knows? Click on this. It'll be more fun, I promise.